to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Let's do a roll call. We will start with the end of the table and work our way around. Please identify yourself and where you're from.
Rita Jacobson.
Joe Napick. Wayne Bragg, A&T. John English, Paul
Hillard, Director of Finance.
John Belbin, A&T.
Anthony Shimetti, Board of Alderman.
Joanna Carloni, A&T.
Okay. For people calling in, can we identify the people on phone?
Just you.
We haven't heard from Chris Patusek, who's supposed to be here for a transfer. He may be en route. I just left the voicemail for him. But I think what we should do, John, is for the moment, table that, and if he gets here, we'll go ahead and then move forward with the budget discussions. And the first one would be the library. Joan is here, Joan Stokes. And if we can start with her presentation.
Okay. We will do that. We will hold the new business till later on, and we will start with the presentation of the library.
Of course. Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank you. Yeah.
What I did for the library board was to take every line item and examine the difference between last year and this year. So that's what I'm handing out to you now, so you can see line by line what the increase, the decrease, of the 0% change would be.
There's another one.
Want to make sure I haven't updated them.
Could we speak into microphone so that we on telecommute here can hear you?
We don't.
We don't have a microphone. We'll speak louder. We'll speak louder, that's all. Ms. Stokes has a library voice.
Well, you will be the first person who ever said that.
John
I'll
said,
use my teacher voice
John said
instead.
to be kind.
Joan, can I make a recommendation?
Certainly.
Can you just maybe take us through the things that changed?
Sure.
Just the key items?
With the full-time staff, the figures that I used, the figures that were given to us in 2023, I'm anticipating a 2.29% increase because that was from 2023 to 2024. For the part-time staff at this time, they're making $16 an hour. I've been trying to increase it by $1 each year. Unfortunately, minimum wage is also chasing that. Minimum wage went up to $15.69 an hour for the work that they're doing, for the amount of responsibility that they have. $17 is barely making it. What I've done is do an ERG study and a study of the towns around us. $17 is not what the towns around us are getting, or what the towns that are comparable to Shelton are getting. They're getting between 17, 15, 18. So what I'm trying to do is move it up, but unfortunately, minimum wage is chasing it at the same time. So for the July budget, if it is passed July 1st, I would like to move that to $17 an hour. For personnel training, now that Zoom classes are so prevalent, we see more of our staff, our younger staff that is being hired, is looking forward to doing more Zoom classes. And as the world is opening up too, they're taking advantage of opportunities to get out and learn more about their professions. So I've increased that quite a bit. From $350 to $500 is a 42% increase, but it's only $150. You know, percentage-wise, it looks like a lot, but it's really only $150. For mileage, there's been a 0% change because so much is being Zoomed now. We're not going out. Even though the mileage has gone up, we're not traveling as much because we're Zooming more of what we're doing. For meetings and conference, a 0% increase. For printing, 0%. Library supplies, I dropped it from 6,000 to 5,000 because so much was being done online last year, so I kept it at 5,000 this year. Postage, same thing. We're doing so much emailing and Zooming that we're doing more technologically with it, so we're not using as much postage, but of course, postage has gone up as well. So it's a yin and yang. As we're using technology more, unfortunately, the older ways of doing things are going up. Library books, 0% change. Media, 0% change. Periodicals and newspapers, 0% change. Same thing with library supplies. Electronic databases, we have found that after COVID, electronic databases exploded because people couldn't come to the library. From July to December of last year, we checked out 13,027 items electronically. Books, audiobooks, movies, comic books, music, TV shows. And the thing that checks out the most are audiobooks.
What was it again?
Audiobooks.
Okay.
You listen to the entire book, but somebody reads it to you. And I think part of that is because it's great to hear a book and who has time to read, which is a terrible thing for a librarian to say, but who has time to read? They listen to books in their cars. I've got one going
The
right now.
CDs are.
Excuse me?
CDs?
No, these are
No, no, no.
electronic, where you
Electronic,
take,
oh.
from our library website, you take your library card, type it in, and we have 3 different databases. We have one called Libby.
Yeah.
That is audiobooks and books.
Yeah.
We have Hoopla, which is audiobooks, books, comic books, movies, music, and TVs. And yeah, the 5, movies, TV, music, comic books, and books. And we also have the Palace Project, which you don't pay for because that's provided by the state. But 13,000, 6 months, and I checked today, it was up to something like 23,000.
So the increase here is for subscriptions to those websites?
Right, there are 2 that we have subscriptions to. The Libby one, you pay a flat fee, no matter how many items are taken out, and it's something like $3,200 a year. Hoopla is the other one we have that is extremely popular. You pay as you go. They use a different algorithm for it. If it's an older book, you pay 99 cents. If it's a brand new book, like Kristen Hanna's The Women, which is the biggest book of the year, you may pay $2.99, but you only pay for the items that patrons check out.
Okay.
And we're able to put a cap on it. You can only check out one thing a week.
Okay.
We could spend $1 million on it, and I don't think it'll be enough for Hoopla.
Yeah.
But what we have held it to is 1 item a week and dollar amount for the day. And then people are cut off and they've got to wait till the next day to do it. So I would like to add more money to that because I see people using it more
Yes.
and more and more.
Yeah.
Dues and subscription, 0% change. Automated library system, we had a decrease. We used the Bibliomation system. They are the ones who set the price. They are a nonprofit software company that all of the area libraries use, and they have had a decrease.
Palace is much easier to use than Bibliomation, just my own.
What is
Palace.
the Palace Project?
Yeah.
That's the E component of it. Bibliomation is our entire software system. So all of the books that are, every patron is in Bibliomation, every item that we own is in Bibliomation. And we are networked to all the area libraries too. So if we don't have a book, or
Get it from another.
we can tell you that Newtown has it, they will send it to us, or you can go. Equipment purchase, 0% change, equipment maintenance, 0% change. $1,300 increase for special events, because now that our renovations are done at Plum, and I hope we'll stop in to see how.
Couldn't hear you 1 second.
Yeah, hold on. I need John to mute himself.
John,
Yes,
can you mute your phone while you're listening, because we're getting a lot of stuff back from you. Sounds like.
okay, hang on, let me do
Thanks.
that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for speaking.
Now that the renovations are done, we have a full, program roster for both the Plum Library. The renovations are being finished this month at the Branch Library, and we have big plans for the summer.
How many staff do you have right now?
Actually, I have a listing of, gotta pass this on to all of our staff.
Yeah, she's going to.
We do have some open positions for library assistants. Since we're only paying them $16, unfortunately, we train them, they fill the resume, and then they move on. And that's another reason why I want to get the salary up a bit too. So right now, this is the roster of people that we have. towards the bottom in brown, you will see that we have, library assistants, and we have at the branch, 2 positions open. At the Plum, we have 3 positions open, and we're doing interviews Thursday, Friday, and Monday of this week for those positions.
So are those positions assumed to be filled when we go to the proposed 2025 budget?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so what's the net increase then from where you are today to where you want to be in the?
That's what I built into the budget. That
Okay,
is
that's-
there.
okay.
That's there. We just have to fill those positions.
Okay, got
These
it.
people have left in the past 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And what's happening is that a lot of part-timers are not working 1 job, they're working 2 and 3. We had someone quit this past week. She's working 3 jobs, and in one of those jobs, she got promoted. So of course she's gonna leave us. She got a promotion.
Joe, I want to make an observation.
Mhm.
You requested a total budget of $1,209,745. And the mayor has recommended that he receives $1,289,745.
Mhm.
That's unheard of. If he gives you exactly what you asked for, he must be doing something right.
Well, I like to think so.
But it
Let's
wasn't,
not blab that
Well,
around.
it's
I
a
wanna make
flexible
it-
budget. I understand the constraints that all of us are under. You know, we're all paying bills, so I understand it. And I really have tried very hard to hold the line and use technology to our advantage. And I know how to squeeze a dollar, I'll be honest, I do.
but I want to make another observation. Some of the things you mentioned tonight is the first time I've heard it. First time, I'm not, well, I don't spend much time at the library, and I'm not, conversant with what's going on. I'm saying to myself, I wonder how many other people like me around the community who need to know more about what you're doing, what you're capable of doing, how you can impact their lives.
Exactly. I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And once all of the renovations are done, then we can go back to being librarians, library directors. And part of what I'm going to be working on in the next 2 years primarily is marketing all the fabulous things we're
Yeah.
doing.
I was thinking as I sat here, maybe you started off with, newspaper, articles, that sort of thing. And then run programs in the library on weekends or sometime evenings or something like that. So people understand what services we do provide.
Right. I worked with Brian at the Shelton Herald,
Yeah,
and he said that it's difficult to get library articles in because they don't want to focus on what the community is doing anymore. They're looking for things for outside of the community. They're looking at the bigger world as far as the Shelton Herald goes. So I said, all of the programs, all of the adult programs we're doing to them, quite honestly, we don't need to advertise the children's programs as much because they fill up so quickly.
yeah.
And if they're in the paper, you know, if you fill it up on Monday and the article is printed out Thursday, parents call and they're upset that it's already filled. So for the adult programs, I do, but Brian has told me that it's difficult sometimes to get those in. So we need to find other ways. We have a wonderful Facebook page. We have a very good website as well. But yes, any marketing we can do, I am more than happy to do. And that's what we're gonna be working on. And thank you for your compliments.
Well, speaking of compliments, this doesn't question any fiscal item, but I and Pat have made relatively infrequent trips to the library, and we're both very impressed at the staff and how they would extend themselves to help and to make the library a productive situation. So to have various people act in such a way as to be complimentary to citizens coming into the library is very good. So that would be a positive thing I would say about the library.
Thank you very much. I agree. We have a wonderful staff at both libraries. And they work as a team, which is so nice too. One of the positives to come out of COVID, and you know that how we were decimated with COVID at the library, was it really bonded us as a team, to have us have to work together and to keep that train running and to have curbside, deliveries. We were delivering books to people's houses because we didn't realize really, you know how important you are. You don't realize it until somebody opens a window and says, you're the only person I'm gonna talk to today. You are the only human being I've had any kind of contact with. Or they would call and say, I have got nothing to read, what can you do? I know you're closed. So we would say, okay, who lives near this person? Who's driving home that way? We would go and leave a bag of books and we'd see the door just open and they'd hand us peanut butter cookies. That was their thank you. And then they close the door and they walk away. So, it's the yin and yang. It's the lemonade coming out of the lemons. Out of COVID, we really did realize just how important service we provide.
Great.
Are we still in the library doing a seed bank?
Yeah, we're doing the library, so I think you should let your boards, ask their questions first.
Okay, aren't we at the point of questioning or we still have presentation?
Yeah, anybody, I would say that you should ask your board one by one to ask the questions.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with myself,
Okay.
if we're at that point. Are we still doing the seed bank at the library?
The seed bank?
Well, I thought we were doing something with exchanging seeds.
Oh, yes. That's the Old Ripton Garden Club that is doing that in conjunction with the library, and yes. With the beginning of spring, they do have a seed bank at the library, right outside my office, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
That
that's
is the
good.
last
We got to keep that going. Okay, next question. What line item handles interior decorating, and are we looking for an increase or a decrease? Where are we at with that?
That has all been handled by the library board, and it was part of the renovation project. So at this
No,
point.
I'm talking about like accessories, celebrating Christmas or Valentine's Day, like that.
Okay. That would be under special events. That's 8007. If we have a
Okay,
program,
are we?
performers coming in at Christmas time to sing, we would pay that out of our special events.
Okay, are we increasing that line item or are we decreasing or where are we at?
We're increasing that hopefully by $1,300 because with both renovations done as of July 1st, we are also increasing our programming as well.
Okay. Can we tone down celebrating gay pride in the children's section? Could we do something like that?
I don't know that we have celebrated. I'm sorry, we have not celebrated gay pride in the children's section. I don't know what you're speaking of.
Okay, last year it was a big controversy, I believe in the month of June, that the children's section was decorated for the month in gay pride. And
No.
I feel that that's not appropriate.
No, that's inaccurate. It wasn't decorated for gay pride. The word gay was never used. What we did have was one of 15 displays. Every month, the children's department puts up 15 different displays. And it was a banner along the top of a bookshelf that said celebrate pride, but it was nothing that had anything to do with sexuality or children. It was just celebrating children. Who doesn't want to celebrate children?
Okay, well, somehow it generated comments, so I just want to, let's tone down that month of decorating.
John, please have them come see me if you ever hear that comment again, because no, there was nothing, never was there ever anything up that said celebrate gay pride in the children's department. That would be inappropriate on so many levels.
Okay, all right, just checking on that.
Absolutely.
All right,
Please have them come see me.
Well, that's an aldermanic question, not a fiscal question for the Board of A&T.
Well,
This
if
question
A&T
about
is funding if A&T is funding this type of decorating, then I would be decreasing that line item. So that's why I feel it is A&T, because if we're spending money on that, we could decrease that line item. So that's why I brought it up.
Now, there were no decorations at all. All it was a book display of children, faced out along with 14 other displays that month. And it just said celebrate pride, and it had children, dancing on a poster. That was all. There was nothing decorated.
Okay, just checking on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. A&T, next member at the table. Do we have any questions? We'll work our way around with A&T.
Well, just a comment. In general, the fiscal concerns of the library board are reflective of the current inflationary situations. They don't go above that. They're generally around 3.6%, which is at about the rate of inflation. So I think the library requests are normal, and the library situation is normalized and should be treated as such.
Okay, any other comments, from A&T?
John, this is Wayne. Joan, just a quick question, just a more clarification. On the accounts that you looked at, which there was no change. So you actually went through those accounts and said, we know what we have to do, we know what we have to provide.
Right,
We think what we have in the current budget is sufficient to cover us for the next year.
exactly.
So it did follow sort of the zero-based
Right.
mentality. Okay.
Right.
So other than that, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any
No
other
questions.
questions from A&T members?
Thank you for the great job you do in the
Yeah.
community.
Oh, thank you,
That's,
thank you, I appreciate
everything
that.
else seems,
I don't have any questions either.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the aldermen that are present. Do we have any questions?
I also want to just comment on the beautiful job you've done with the library. I enjoy going there and I enjoy the services you have. Your staff is always polite on the phone. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome, it's our pleasure.
That's all of it, John.
Did you get your eclipse glasses yesterday, by the way?
I found one.
Good. That was the best reference question I had all day.
all right, Keith, that's it, John.
Great,
Thank you
thank you
very much.
very much, I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Who's up next?
Please.
Police.
Police.
Okay.
Bring it on up, guys.
You get a hot seat.
Can I leave it? Did they check the guns at the door?
I'm good, thank
Police.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, introduce yourselves so everyone knows who you are.
For those that don't know me, Kevin Stroud, the deputy chief, police department, got promoted, end of last summer.
Congratulations.
Bob Sosowski, lieutenant, shout out, please.
He's also the voice of the Red Cross.
Also a coach of the championship travel team too. Throw that out there, Bob.
Well, congratulations.
Championship coach of the fifth grade travel.
We gotta put more money in the budget for the basketball kids, that's, I'll be there for that one.
More gym time.
More gym time.
There you
Oh,
go.
boy.
Did you watch the game last night?
What number are you?
Yes.
What number are you?
25.
45.
25. Three kids.
It was a 2-5.
Holy cow. Posted 8834. You see, okay, 85, 73.
200,000.
Can I make one comment on a matter which is not in the 2,500 account, but it's in the 200 account, which is, employee benefits. And talking particularly about the police pension contribution. As you're aware, we're a member of the state program MERS. And if you were to look at the current budget of in that account, $1,650,000. We have already spent $1,518,000, which is basically I think it's an 8-month figure, I have to check with that. But we're gonna go over on that budget by probably not less than $400,000.
Why don't we charge more? Why don't we charge more?
There's two ways to look at that, Jeff. We are charging for private duty. This budget is all police payroll. Okay, and those regular officers who, and their overtime holiday pay, et cetera, and additionally private duty. Now, we are charging for private duty, and we intend to increase the private duty rate as of July first. The reason for that being is that our contribution to MERS for the coming year is going to increase by 3.76%. So if we're spending, you know, if you looked at what we spend right now, you have to add to that number 3.76% for next year. That's a combination of two things. It's a combination that the salary levels have contractually have been increased, and the contribution to MERS has also increased. Additionally to that, the officers have an increase. The officers contribute currently 7.5% of their pay to that, and that's going to 8% next year, but that's out of, in a sense, out of their own check. But our check,
But the matching part.
I'm sorry?
The matching part goes up.
they're matching, I don't say it's matching, because they're going up 50 basis points, 0.5%,
Right.
and we're going up 3.76.
3.7, okay.
Now, we intend to increase the private duty rate, which is primarily, I mean, the big companies on that are, utility companies, construction companies, tree companies, which are really working for the most part for the utility companies.
Right.
And we compared our rates with several other towns. One of the issues, several of the other towns locally are not in MERS, so they have their own private pension fund, which is dedicated just to that particular town.
Okay.
Milford, Fairfield, Westport, similar sized towns. And their rates vary a little bit. We also check the rate that we're charging on the cars, and we're competitive. We're at the low end. We're charging $25 per hour for a car that's out here. And some of the other towns have gone up to 27, 30. Stratford's at 27, so we may add a couple of bucks onto that. It's just a fee for utilization of the vehicle. But I just want to point that out to you, is that, we're gonna have a significant deficit in the current.
In what account does that show up in? Up to?
I'm sorry?
What account does that show up in? The deficit?
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it, just the way the mayor wants to, we haven't resolved that yet. Take the good news is, if you also look at the revenue side of private duty,
Right.
it's significantly ahead of what we budgeted as a revenue source for private duty. And so we're gonna pick up, we're gonna cover ourselves here, let's put it that way, on that $400,000 deficit. You're gonna cover yourself on it, but it's an issue to be looked at, particularly for the budget. Because the mayor has recommended an increase of $100,000 and $100,000,
What line item?
or rather, what, 100,000 over the current year budget.
What line item, I think you want, so what numbers you looking at?
It's in 200, the 200 category.
200?
2,500.
Yes, this is the pension.
This
you're
is
talking about, the 200.
separate pension.
I'm bringing it up because it's all within the police, it's not within the police department budget.
Right.
Second
Pension contribution
Second
page.
page.
is a factor.
Yes,
So it's 200-411
yes.
-20. Oh, no, it's 200-411, that's, yeah, I see it now.
Second page.
Okay, no,
It's not in the.
And the private duty.
oh,
It's in the budget.
Department 2,500.
No, that's the police department. This is,
Private duty
This is,
budgeted currently,
it's in a different department. It's not in the police department.
well, the private duty
They're not here.
is in 6,100.
Oh,
You look at that. And you'll see. We currently have budgeted 1,040,000. For that, and if you look at what has been
Oh, yeah.
achieved,
you gotta wait for us to get it.
we've already billed 868,000. Which
Wait a
is probably only through the
Wait a
month of
minute,
February.
you're going so fast.
So we're,
You lost me in the first term. And I'm just catching up to the point that I'm turning on to 6,100. Now, what line item at 6,100 is we talking?
I think it's this one, John. 6100 dash, 511.
6,100, 511, 80-50, police private duty,
Okay,
which is not within the police budget, but it is paid directly to the police officers.
That goes to the police officer direct,
Well, that's part of their payroll.
part of the.
so that covers, when we do private duty, that line item pays the police
Oh,
officer.
it pays the employee, sorry.
It pays their
Okay.
salary,
Who gets the
It's
revenue
got nothing-
hourly rates that they're
It's
getting.
got nothing to do
with this?
with revenues. I mean, here we are
Oh, these
talking
two
about
gentlemen.
revenues. We're not talking about, we're talking about, are we charging enough to cover the costs?
And I will say this, I think the rates that we're getting currently, and if we have the police are going to be getting 2.5%. On the contract, 2.5% increase.
2.25 or 2.5, I know it's down.
I don't know which one out of those two.
Yeah.
I believe it's 2.5%, so in other words, the hourly rate for a police officer is going to be going up 2.5%. Our cost is going, our wages on that, you know, we're billing or what we're gonna have to pay for 2.5%. Plus an increase on the state pension.
And this money that's in police private duty, they're recommending.
That's the expense.
$1,040,000. That, out of that line item right there, you gotta pay the.
Private duty.
The private duty, right, with wages.
Right,
What else do we have to pay?
Well, and the request was on that, for budget request, was for 1,000,004. The mayor's recommendation is to reduce it back to the current level, which we will exceed this year, for the increase.
I don't know if these gentlemen are,
I know
Or
that
is-
that's not.
they're part of this
I wanna bring it up
conversation.
because,
okay, you brought it up, you made it known to us that we have to look at that.
Yes, we had, but we had to leave this table tonight without looking at it and discussing it, because if we do, we're not gonna look at it. Fact of the matter is, we're not gonna look at it unless we talk about it now. You brought it up.
Okay,
let's
so,
talk about
all right. So
You're-
what do we charge now per hour?
If we go, no, it doesn't matter what we charge. What we've got to do is 1,400,000 the police department's asked for in that line item. The mayor wants to give 1,040,000. What are we paying for? We gotta pay the officer who does the work.
And just for the record, we don't do that, so we're not
that's
involved in
a
that.
separate account, it's their personnel.
I know you said we asked for it, we don't ask for that.
Okay.
So we
They
have
don't,
no,
they don't.
we just benefit when we work, here, we don't ask for it.
So finance handle them. What are you paying, then what are you paying? What expenses are you paying out of that company? Let's see if I can get.
We're paying their wages. Primary expenses are their wages and the contribution to the state, which is, I don't have the letter with me.
How much was your health insurance?
Bring it, Thursday night. But the new letter from the state, I might have it, which demonstrates the increase that the state is looking for. I should have brought that, I thought I had it.
Okay, so having run payroll for many years, I know that a salary, an hourly salary is not what you're paying for. You gotta pay for their salary, you gotta pay for their employment, you gotta pay for their health insurance, you gotta pay for their, workers' comp, and all the other things. So what are we, I guess I gotta get back to the nuts and bolts of this, if that's where John wants to go. How much are we paying an hour? How much are they charging these
We're
contractors?
charging, whether it's non-illuminating,
Okay.
spraying water,
Yeah.
it's $84.
$84, okay. What are we paying the employee? I mean, I think different offices, they pay different amounts.
If the overtime rate of the top patrolman is what the majority.
What is that rate an hour? Do you know? offhand?
Yeah, the contract for private duty
So
says,
it specifies the.
yeah, so whatever the rate, which I just don't have it in front of
Okay,
me,
that's
of
what-
top
that's your-
patrolman,
yeah.
it would be, that's what we receive.
Times one,
Times 1.5.
one and a half.
That's 1.5.
Yep.
It's 1.5 times. Plus, we're
Somebody came up,
contributing, and they're contributing out of that, they're paying 7.5%.
when the
Which is
department,
going to 8%.
or when it was the finance department, somebody came up with the need for $1,400,000.
Yeah, that was not us, that's what I'm
Was
telling you.
that you?
That was, yeah,
So it was you. So
I'm guilty as charged.
how,
Get the cuffs.
how did you come up with $1,400,000 that we need in that account?
1,400,000, because I think what we're looking at is what the current utilization of current buildings for this year, plus the fact that there's going to be a rate increase, two components to the rate increase. Salary increase, contractual salary increase for the officers, and a MERS pension increase beyond that. And so that increase is 3.76%.
But the MERS is not in here, not in this private duty, MERS is not in that. Can we separate those two?
Well, there's also, one of the things on private duty, there's a lag. We have, for example, right now, accounts receivable, which stays pretty standard. In excess of 200,000. And there's some very old accounts. There's one account that we have some complaints about, because it was 87,000.
Who is it? A company that owes us 87,000?
I'm sorry,
A company owes 87,000?
yeah, one of the tree companies.
Grab one of their trucks. Grab a truck. They'll pay you.
Well.
Let me ask you a question.
That could be-
I just did the simple math of 84 divided into 1.4. I come up with 16,666 hours.
I'll give you the report too.
Well, how many hours do you think that we have people on the road every day? Do you know? Any
Private duty?
Yeah, any idea?
I mean, lately, the last couple of years with the tree company, it's the utility, they're
Yeah.
hiring 6 guys a day, just the one.
So
tree
6
company.
guys a day
Plus,
times 8
plus
hours,
I would take another 2 guys working, so you could say, I think
so
good average
64
maybe
hours a
8
day.
to 10, 8 to 10 guys working a day.
Okay,
It is a good average to use.
Well, I guess my logic runs this way. If finance says, based on yesterday's experience, we need $1,400,000. And the mayor says, oh, based on my intuition, they can get by with $1,400,000.
this is revenue.
Who's right? Who's right? And how do we decide who's right? It's a logic.
You can't, unless we see,
Absolutely cannot, you're right.
you have to see the underlying compensation.
Exactly.
You have to see
So what we're doing is we're beating our gums here for nothing.
Guess what? It comes out just right. 16,640 hours. You're right on it for 1.4 million.
Well,
You
that's,
can't take credit for budgeting.
well,
that.
that's 8 employees, 2,000,
Right on the butt.
40 hours a week times 52 weeks, right?
Kinda.
That's 16,000 hours.
Just to give an average, yeah. But that's not probably far off.
That's the ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's a good number to go. Frontier, they're done building and shopping, so they won't.
Frontier's done, okay, so we'll have to worry
So
about
it's,
that.
so it's the 8 employees times 2,000 hours times the
Oh,
top rate times 1.5 plus some percentage for an increase. Future increase, that's.
I think the 1.4 is a fair number, you're gonna fight for that.
You know,
1.4 is a fair number, just by the simple math.
yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
I will get for you and be able to present, well, both to the Board of A and T and.
So that,
Board
so
of,
if you think that's a fair number,
where
then
we are, and as I say, there are accounts receivable out there, there's some minor ones which are very old. We don't collect 100 cents on the dollar. But some of them, we've had companies go out of business and stuff like that, but that's the cost of doing business. And that's why we did do a survey of half a dozen towns in the area to see where we are. Now, again, one major difference is several of these towns have their own independent pension plan and are not making pension contribution for the private duty. We're required under MERS to make that contribution.
what the state has announced a major change in MERS. This was the last time around. This time, here's what CCM has said that the state is doing with MERS. Well, they're gonna create another level of consultation within MERS. The employer aspect of this thing, the municipality has not been represented. We're going to be represented. Isn't that wonderful? But
less
that's
government is better.
I guarantee it's not gonna change a damn thing.
Less
What they
government.
say is what you pay. And, you know, and it's gonna be the same old, same old. Now, if you think he's right on the number, you're looking at raising.
You're right on the number for this year. To say next year going forward, I would absolutely add 5 or 10%.
Well, and if you're gonna add that, it's 360,000 that you're gonna have to add to the amount of taxes that they're gonna charge. In other words, mayor's already in his budget,
Are we talking apples and oranges here?
I'm sorry, I do have the letter that we received from the state. Thought I had it. In February 29th, it tells pension contributions, we have to pay 26.44% above, in addition to the salaries that we pay, with the wages that we pay. And, there's also an
If
administrative.
someone gets $100, you get $26.44, that's good for the account.
Yeah, and that's based on the most recent actuarial report, which is out there now. A year ago, that increase was significantly higher, and they changed the actuarial report and pulled it back, because last year it was in the 10% range or something like that. It was changed. So this year, the increase is modest, but there's an increase. And as I said, also, it says here, the employee contribution rates for members not covered by Social Security will increase from 7.5% to 8%.
Well,
If we knew the mayor's rationale, that would be very helpful.
Right,
well, okay, I understand where you wanna go with this, but can we help these gentlemen out?
There's nothing to do with it.
I know, then we called them up to the table. So why don't we can table this till after, at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Keep the meeting alive till 10 to 11 o'clock, I don't care, but let these gentlemen
Yeah,
do their,
stick
do
to
their
their
piece there, you know. So, John, you wanna stick AT&T on them? AT&T on them?
Okay, I do not have any question for the PD. Other A&T members, work your way around the table. Do we have any questions, for the, PD, reps?
I'm sorry, we got Yeah,
sidetracked.
the chief, his first budget hearing has a next presentation for you guys,
Okay.
and he almost skipped on it.
No, we
He's
want it.
worked on it for days, he's ready to go.
Don't listen to a word he's saying.
We want it. We
But
want it. Let's
I'll
hear it.
let Lieutenant Kozlowski kind of go over the budget stuff, but I just want to give you guys maybe a quick overview of
Sure, good.
how Pete's doing.
Good.
And then if you guys have any questions with that, regarding that. We're down to about 57 officers as of last week. We had one retiree, April 1st, now we're at 56. We've anticipated, I believe, June 1st, Sergeant Hughes is going to be retiring, so we're going to be down to 55. That being said, over the next probably year or so, going back to the whole Seamer's pension and the way things are going to be changing with that and how the cost of living decreases, we probably anticipate probably the next year, 10 to 15 officers retire. So with that being said, recruitment is going to be, and it has been, it's going to have to continue for us to try to recruit either young officers or even lateral transfers from other PDs. As we know, we look at the news these days, not many people want to become a cop anymore. So, and it's a nationwide issue, and it's even all the departments in Connecticut are going to have the same problems that we're going to have. So that's what we kind of have to get ahead of the game here and kind of start getting out there recruiting at different schools and stuff like that to try to get some qualified candidates. Sometimes even some of the testing process that we've had over the past couple of years, the pool of candidates haven't been that great. This is the ones that are decent or kind of working longer in their own jobs or military people and not just want to be a police officer anymore. I'm sure the chief at most of the budget hearings has discussed accreditation with you all. Right now, we're tier 1 state accredited. And by 2025, the state is going to require us to be tier 2, tier 3, and then CALIA certified, which is the federal accreditation. So we're working towards that now, and Lieutenant Yerzak and our training officer has been a lot of hours and effort to that. Calls for service for the police department. Last year, we had about 34,500 calls for service. Our dispatch center probably fielded about 14,000 calls, including 911 and routine calls. That compared to the other surrounding towns was probably double. I got the numbers here. I think Monroe had about 5,000, Derby about 8,000, and Hanson had about 7,000. So we were at 14,400 calls coming into dispatch. So just kind of gives you an idea of.
Can you give us a breakdown of some sort of the calls? Are they mostly emergencies, like someone's injured, car accidents?
That I don't.
You don't have to look on that. No problem. Thank you.
But out of the 34,000, I just kind of broke down a few, just to kind of give you an idea, that 34,000 calls for service. Alarms, this could be like an alarm at a company, could be a house alarm. We had about 1,400 of those. Burglaries last year, we had about 16 burglaries, 5 commercial, 5 attempted. Kind of a figure for me that kind of is a little alarming, but identity thefts, we probably have a walk-in of one every other day, but it went from 97 this year and last year was about 86 for identity thefts. Whether, someone's just getting their social security number or even scams with, the elderly, which we've had different, I've had Officer Staples go over to the senior center and kind of give presentations over there, just, 'cause it happens, more than you actually think it would. Motor vehicle thefts down from 51 to from 64 last year. The services were down a little bit, 369, down from 391. Shoplifting, we had 64 last year. And then believe it or not, motor vehicle accidents, which I thought was a kind of a high number, but it includes, accidents on the road or even parking lot accidents. We had about 900. So I thought that was kind of a larger number.
Every day?
Yeah, every day. But I think the officers the men and women out there are just continue doing a great job and being vigilant out there. And I think, it's what it attributes to us still maintaining the 8th safest city in Connecticut. So I think everybody at the police department is doing a great job and we will continue to do that.
And to piggyback on this issue of hiring, to give a little history, even before my time, there was an officer hired in 1991, and then they went 8 years without hiring. And then they started under Chief Ficola, a huge hiring spree. I was one of those. So that started in 1999. So if you do the math, we're all coming up on 25 years. Right. So we are eligible to retire a big group of officers that got hired. Plus what's kind of forcing our hand is the change by Seamers and the pension. So we are anticipating on this next budget cycle, probably, I would say at least 15 the people that may be retiring. on there.
And
So-
again, they're not, these young kids and, girls and guys, they're not putting in for the job anymore, so. When I took the job for the state police, when I got hired in 97, there was about 10 or 11,000 people that put in for the job. I think the state police may now maybe get 1,000 or 2,000 candidates, so it's gone down drastically.
And I will add though, the one thing is people don't leave our place, so they get hired in other towns and they transfer to us. I can't recall a person transferring out to a different department. So the good news is when we get them, they stay. It's now the problem getting them.
Mass retirement.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky too, bunch of lateral transfers actually live in Shelton, so it was kind of, fortunate for them and for us to get
You
somebody.
hire like a lot of really qualified people. I haven't followed
Outstanding.
the posts.
Right, right.
Yeah,
But it's starting to dry up.
is it?
It's drying up on us.
My neighbor across the street, Neary's in Bridgeport, his class of 42 is down to 30 and they're almost all gonna walk out this year.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a mass leaving in Bridgeport. Wow, fantastic. You guys do an excellent job. All right, let's go around. John, who's next up on the A&T? Joe, questions?
Well, there's a deficit of some $82,000 requested by the police department. And the result is the figure I gave, recommended by the mayor. My question would be, with the loss of that money as requested, what might the impact on the police department be?
Well, I would say that it's not going to, because we were anticipating increasing our numbers. And the reality is, we're not gonna be able to, even if though we wanted to increase our overall number, it's really, next year is gonna be about just holding the line, and it's gonna be tough to do that. So the main cut was out of that salary, because we wanted to increase, but the reality is, with the way hiring is going, the amount of retirements, that's gonna be very hard in that next fiscal year to bring our overall
We
numbers
probably
up.
want to get close to it,
But-
as unfortunate as that is.
But that would be, that was our original goal, and that's what probably a longer term strategy, but the reality is it's just not gonna happen next year.
So recruitment continues to be a problem for the Shelton Police.
I wouldn't just say to Shell, I'd say everywhere, it's
National.
It's national and we're really seeing it, and I really see that as, again, it's of the two things coming together, the mass amount of people eligible to retire at once and the CMERS changings that are kind of forcing people to say, hey, I may have stayed another 4 or 5 years, but I might as well get out now.
So you wonder what the Shelton Police Department can do about this situation. It seems kind of a bleak situation.
It's, in my time of hiring, there was a group of people, so you could finish really well in the test, they didn't hire you. Now we're outside the box, going to college fairs, different events, we're pushing people, and we actually spend a lot of our time and a lot of resources on those recruitings, working with the transfers of the majority of Bridgeport and Stratford we're using them like, hey, talk it up and, get more in. I call Stratford our minor league farm system or whatever you guys call it. But I know Paul talked about the CMERS and that's a different line item, but that's also a value that gets people. So Stratford is a 401k and that's why they're leaving. So they're not leaving because there's issues in the department. They're leaving because of the pension benefit. So, and that's why people don't leave us. And they're leaving Bridgeport because their health insurance that they have to pay is through the roof for those new guys. So they want to come here. It's the same pension.
Yeah, some of those guys in the middle are paying about $1,000 a month in healthcare, $1,000 a month.
So we do, holding our line on what we have to pay for insurance, which is reasonable, and having the seniors pension is once we get them, that's why we're able to hold people.
So you can try as you are and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's one of the things the chief's putting out, and
He's leaving, he's one of them leaving next year himself, so don't let me fool you.
but I still care. No, but we're putting together like that recruitment plan and really pushing, because we did have, when the laterals were not, or excuse me, the new hires, the laterals come from other departments, and we had a big list, and lately that list, we're starting to see dwindle down. So what you used to have, and it's to the point now, other departments are doing signing bonuses, are doing all different things to try to attract those people.
And they're actually, if you say you're at a department as a lateral transfer, say you had 5 years at Stratford PD, and they went someplace else, they would give you the same salary equal to 5 years and vacation time and all that stuff as well, so we almost kind of have to get with the times and kind of, a little incentive.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
Okay, any other A&T questions? Any other A&T questions out there?
This John, it's Wayne. Chief, you made an interesting comment on the 34,000 calls.
Yep.
I actually, at UConn did a business mastery class for the Connecticut State Police, and we talked about that. And one of the metrics, we tried to help them with a sort of performance measurement type of system. And one of the things they looked at was the 9/11 response time and compared that to some of the surrounding areas. Do you guys do that as well?
To the response time.
Yeah,
In our dispatch, I don't think we actually,
We did that a couple of years ago,
Okay,
and I
just
think
curious.
we were better than what the state average was, but we haven't done.
are you saying the 911, how quick you already answered the 911
Right,
calls?
right.
Okay, yeah, no, that's,
So, well, the time the call comes into the time the officer actually arrives on the scene.
okay.
Yeah.
So the reason, I'm sorry, the reason why we did is about dispatch answering the phone, but I think that's where he's confused, but you're talking about the cop actually.
Right. Because it's like, what, 7, 8 minutes, isn't that sort of, wasn't that, you know, like 5 years ago, that was sort of an average that everyone was
Yes.
trying to achieve. Is that still about this?
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
average hasn't changed, and I would say when we did it, I don't have the numbers, in front of me, but we were better than that, and we still
Okay.
continue.
I'm just curious.
Without doing a full number, we do, I would say, have a very good response time.
Okay, I'm just curious.
On that.
So just to follow up on Joe's comment on the head count. So if I've got this right, in your budget right now, you're targeted for 59, but you're saying that, you know, you're gonna go down before you go back up again. So you're gonna drop down from 56 to 55,
Correct.
and you're probably not gonna get to that 59 numbers.
Well, our original budget actually included an increase, we were trying to up the roll, so we were trying to get up there. So really, with the cut to the mayor, it's gonna be, we're gonna stay status quo, so if we can get the bodies, we have enough money to stay at the same number. So
Right.
if it was easy to hire people, someone leaves, we have the money to put somebody in, we just couldn't increase that rate.
Okay.
The issue that we see though, even though we're gonna have the money, we may not be able to fill it.
Right.
On there, but we're not looking at decreasing the number, we're looking at replacing anyone who leaves.
Okay.
And as,
So you think you get to 59 during the year next year?
it's all gonna be on the recruiting and who signs up.
Yeah,
So as the chief said, one just retired, we have one that put in his papers, sergeant for the spring. Our court officer is already, putting his papers in for December, so there's a good 5 to 6, officers that
Eligible now.
already done it. You know, it just hasn't taken into effect. Plus, there's gonna be the other ones that are gonna look to get out with some of these changes to see as they're ready.
Okay. And in terms of the hourly rate, per sworn officer, what, on average, how much did that go up this year to next year?
Our contract, Paul, was it 2.25 or 2.5?
Okay.
Did you have that? It's one of the two, I just don't remember.
Okay. So it's in that
In that ballpark.
2%.
Yeah,
2%.
correct.
Okay, got it, I'm done.
Thank you.
Do you have recruitment in your budget?
We do that in our training budget, in our personnel training budget, on there, and then we also use our crime prevention office. And there we'll use some of that too as well, and we've done some things in there, so going to like the colleges and things like that, that's no cost, because they're actually looking forward to us. Things that we do wanna look to buy though, is, you know, we would just normally sit at a table, but we need to do something now, because there's 12 other police departments plus federal agencies, right? They're all recruiting. So that's part of what the chief's plan that he's been doing is, what can make us stick out when we go to these things? And that's where we'll be using some of that budget. So we're not just sitting at a table, like in our uniform. So, and that's, you know, one of our projects.
And social media, I'm sure you've seen them on social media, different types of police departments.
Yeah.
Don't like a recruitment video.
Yeah.
You're trying to look towards something in that.
You've been to Central? Central still has a pretty big, criminology department, as I recall.
The central?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know. My grandson majored in criminology.
So I actually teach at Quinnipiac and I'm trying to recruit as well, like as I have my students on Monday night, I'm like, who's graduating, who's looking?
Exactly.
So it's putting those, you know, it's those out of the box, different ways, our chief teaches at Housatonic, trying to get those people and get those applicants, in, and, you know, and that's part of the drive of why we do some of the teaching, so they see us and we have these personalities and like, hey, that looks like a good place to work, and, you know, constantly promoting the department up there.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else for A&T?
Everybody's shaking their heads, no, John.
Okay. Let's move on to the alderman.
Okay, so I saw a couple little items that are, you know, they're not much money, but why traffic light maintenance has gone up, 60%?
That the light at South, we own 3 lights, the light at
That's right.
South Constitution Fall Hill, we spent a lot of money, this year. The lights are getting older and there was a lot of,
You, John. Go ahead.
I don't know if down there's a lot of times that we had to put out the 4-way stop signs. And it's constantly getting repaired, so as these are aging, we're expecting more and more maintenance, especially at that.
I saw a number for, and I have no problem at all, for 225% for body armor. Please, by all you
So,
need.
so body armor goes, the body armor lasts for 5 years, so we have a spreadsheet, so that's why that number varies. So with, the previous, budget year, we ended up spending a lot, which we didn't really have anybody for this year. That was up this year, so we have now, the good news is this current budget year, we didn't ask for a lot, but now next year, a lot of people are coming up on that 5-year mark. So we go on the spreadsheet and who's doing that budget.
John, that's the line item, let's see here,
It's 60-35.
6035. Firing range up, but not much money, but
Well,
yeah,
there's certain maintenance that has to be done every other year, so we drop, so the money that's in there in this current year is just in case little things break. Next year is when we're due for that every other year. It's a
The
bigger
filters,
cleaning,
et cetera,
yeah,
that can be
company
checked,
comes in, so that's every 2 years they have to do that, so that's
Okay.
why that increase.
no, I don't say anything unreasonable at all, but thank you very much for what you do for protecting us. Thank God, God bless you all.
Thanks everyone for your support.
Are there any other aldermen that have questions?
I'm gonna ask a question, I'm paraphrasing here from Chris Balmacy, who heads up the Public Health and Safety Committee. We've been trying to get access, the lights, the speed cameras. We put the camera up and, you know, somebody goes by doing 80 miles an hour, and you send them a ticket.
It's called the red light cameras?
Recognition,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were actually looking into a grant for that. I know Chris Palmasi had sent this forward to something, so we are looking into that.
Is it more than just a red light? Is it like, I mean, I got caught in Paradise Valley, Arizona speeding, you know, and it
There are
was,
different ones, but there's
Yeah,
different
okay.
options you
because
can.
I see you put up the caution lights that flash when you're going over the 30-mile-an-hour limit coming down 108 or up through Huntington and Soundview, which I think are fantastic.
And there's certain criteria the state passed with those red light cameras that they have, that you have to meet, so you have to meet with the state statutes, you can't just put them up willy-nilly.
There's always something.
Yeah, but you know, but yeah, having even the speed boxes, and one of the things that we're looking at is even some of the crosswalks that, you know, maybe a little dark, we've seen them in other towns, the solar where they'll light up when somebody crosses through there, the sign, just to
Good idea.
warn motorists, so those are things that we're looking at. And that would be in the sign replacement.
I just want,
Replace some of those
the
signs.
reason I bring this up is I just, not to get specific, but I want you to be aware that, that something is being talked about and nothing is getting done. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just simply saying the way the system works, go look for a grant, and no grant there. You know, this is the way, that's the way. It just has to be talked about, and we just have to stay on it, and everybody's gotta come into it. And let's do it. Let's get a few of these out and make an example, and let people know that they're gonna, if they do 45 miles on Long Hill Avenue, or if they pass me on Long Hill Avenue, they're gonna get a ticket. And right now, there's no penalties. And you don't change human behavior if there's no penalties. If you don't have to pay any price for it, you're just gonna keep doing it, make it worse, till somebody gets killed.
I agree.
So, I mean, from our point of view, we gotta be able to fund these things. From your point of view, you gotta ask for it. You gotta help us push for it.
I know you're down, when I say down officers, you don't have a lot of officers to spare. But I have plenty of calls to my home, to my personal phone and say, you know, they're going through the stop signs without stopping. Buses, everything. You know, it can't be everywhere. If there's somewhere we can start to, as John said, pick away at it. Even if it's a mobile camera can be moved, would be better than nothing to get started. So if you could push it, we'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Aggressive drivers, quite a problem.
Oh, it's a
Say
real
again?
problem.
Aggressive
Oh,
drivers, quite a problem.
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
Joe, it's tough to change your behavior.
Literally saw a guy passing someone going up Soundview yesterday. A car was going up Soundview, 25, 30 miles an hour. Guy behind him passed him going up.
There's not much room around there, and you can't see the next
You
curve.
can't see the next curve.
What was amazed to me is I understand there were 10,000 violations of going around buses in Bridgeport alone, or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
That blows my mind. Take a light, they could take a kid's life. Ridiculous. But anyways, I don't have any more questions. John?
Are you satisfied with the budget? Is the
We
mayor-
are, yep, yes, sir.
You all right?
Boyko, you're on.
Yes, I'm here. Okay. Are there any more questions from any of the aldermen?
No,
There's no more aldermen.
Okay, so I guess we are done hearing the police budget. Is
thank you.
everyone
John,
comfortable with that?
for your service.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tell your father I'll settle it.
I will,
I don't
take care.
see, I'm sure we'll be walking soon, but I
They're on
don't see
the
it.
they're for-
Oh, good for them. Who's next up?
That's your.
Debt service. Who handles that?
4,500.
4,500?
Paul,
Okay, Paul.
There's a modest increase in the debt service this year, which is a change from the previous years, which are going down. I will say this, of the 50 largest towns in the state of Connecticut, we have the smallest debt service. Two major things that, if you look at the line items where there are fairly significant increases. One is on, long-term debt interest. We borrowed back in mid-December.
9/11/7005, right?
I'm sorry,
9/11/7005 is the number, right?
yes, 9/11/7005. We borrowed $5,285,000, which was basically a 2-year aldermanic bonding borrow. And we had 3 different quotes from 3 banks, Newtown Savings, M&T Bank, and the Reserve Bank what's the W? Webster. Newtown Savings was the lowest, which is the highest rate that we've been paying over a 5-year period. But as you're aware, the interest rates that we are earning are above that. So we collected that $5,285,000 that has gone into the bank. And right now, the daily rate on that has been in excess of 5.4% for several weeks now. So right now, we're ahead of it, but the cost has gone up. But obviously, we have increased the interest income that we anticipate seeing. So we're gonna be paying back, we're gonna have to allocate a sum of money, and the mayor and I are going back to this. We have interest due on that loan in June of $113,000, which is 6 months of interest on it. That same interest rate will be in December, which is included in here, along with a 20% reduction in the payment. The other item in here, which is a major change, if you look at the bottom lines, which is fire truck payments, 9/11/70/27. We currently have one loan outstanding, which we've had for roughly 2.5, close to 3 years now. for a ladder truck, which we purchased, which is in the main station, Station 1, which we pay $22,000 a month on, over a 60-month period. That truck was purchased, can't give you the exact date, but about 2.5 years ago for $1,250,000. We are under contract to buy, 2 new pump trucks. And this was done over 1.5 years, close to 2 years ago. I think when Fran Jones comes here on Thursday night, he may have an update. The number you see in here, which takes the year-to-date expenditure, well, the adjusted budget of $270,000, which is the annual payment on the ladder truck. And that's included in the $485,652. And what we've estimated is that we are going to have to borrow $1.9 million for the 2 new trucks, which we're under contract on. And I just estimated a figure of 5%. And it would be for 6 months. Payment on that is roughly, I'll give you the exact figure, but it's about $35,000 monthly that we'd be paying over a 60-month period. And so those are the 2 increases really that are in this. Our debt, our long-term debt has been going down.
Right. Yeah.
Consistently. The only bonded debt, the only thing that we will have left after this summer, we have a payment left due on a bonded debt. And the other payments will be for basically just the aldermanic bonding for the past 5 years. And that's an ongoing thing. The last 2 times, when we borrowed money in December of 21, we borrowed $5,055,000, and this time in December of 23, we borrowed $5,285,000. I don't know whether you want interest rates to go down or what, but that's the game we're playing, and you have to talk to the Federal Reserve System to see when they're going to lower rates. But
Doesn't look like they're going down anytime soon.
I don't think they go down anytime soon either. But
The guys are screwing it up big time.
and the good news is that our
You
interest
can't
income
spend trillions and trillions and
Is,
trillions and print money.
is significantly high.
Expect
And
it
this,
to go down.
frankly, it's one of the reasons that we've moved most of many of our accounts, our operating accounts, to Newtown Savings Bank, because they have agreed if we keep the balance, if we and the Board of Ed each keep a minimum balance of $250,000 in an
Yeah.
operating account.
Yeah.
There are no service charges. And on the balance of all the overall accounts, we will earn what the state treasurer's fund is paying. You can look that up on the state website. I looked it up on Monday, I think, and it's still staying 5.42%, and they are paying us that on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's where we are.
So there's been a sort of a move towards reducing general obligation bonds going as a source of debt to going into bank loans. So that's been a conscious decision over the years.
Yeah, I
So
think,
when I look in the audit report,
yeah.
I only see
You
like
get
one general obligation bond.
The difference is in purchasing on the debt service, is purchasing
Oh,
the new equipment.
It's hugely expensive also, the upfront fees and everything.
Yeah,
are
and,
very
as I
expensive.
say, the only thing that I put in this figure, and I don't know, I mean, we will go out when we know when they're coming.
Yeah.
Which, could be September,
Could be a year from now, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the number that's in this budget reflects that we would have 6 months of payments. But we wouldn't have to start paying that
Yeah.
until January.
Yeah.
That may move, and that variance is going to be rough, and the rate is an estimate too.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this time, as you see, we have a very good relationship. I mean, we'll get quotes, and Newtown was.
What was a no-brainer for us to decide whether to continue with general obligation bonds
Yeah,
or borrow from the bank.
yeah.
Every time we went out for general obligation bonds, we had a bill to develop the bidding criteria, legal fees of $100,000.
Yeah,
We just did away with this.
it's crazy, it's crazy, yeah,
And we just went to to the bank,
yeah.
instead of going for competitive bids for bonds at 4%, we
Right,
got it at a half of 1%
right,
and no fees.
right, yeah, no, it makes sense,
No brainer.
makes sense, no, I agree, I agree.
But when we had the bid last December on the note, Newtown was 4.3%, which we're paying, or will be paying. Webster was just under 4.5%, and M&T Bank was 5.05%. So we obviously went to the low bidder.
Yeah. And that's been the charter for years has allowed us to go either way. But it wasn't until we discovered, the.
Tremendous upfront cost.
Well, it's just, I have some historical information on this, it's interesting, because as recent as 2020, we had $11 million in debt service.
Yeah.
That's
As I say,
astounding.
we are by far, no one's close to this. You know, you have to have
Yeah,
a community that's significantly smaller
Yeah,
than we are. But you can look at two neighboring towns and see what their debt service is, and they state listed on a per capita basis.
Yeah.
Some are $60 million, it's amazing.
Stratford is high, Trumbull is very high.
yeah.
Bridgeport, obviously, you'd have to. You know, you look at the, not a neighboring town, but well, it does neighbors a little bit on the river, Orange. It's a debt service, which
Yeah.
is much higher than this.
Through the roof.
But that's a town.
It's like the national debt.
Population.
How you gonna get over the national debt?
You know,
Okay,
I think the only thing, and it's an estimate, particularly on the fire truck thing. I think
yeah,
when-
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
Fran Jones gets here, he may have a better idea as to when they're going to be delivered. But that's a national problem. You can't get a fire truck in less than 20 months.
Yep. And ours is built a little special, some have to be lower, fit in the
Yeah,
garage.
and actually, our purchase price is about $1,850,000, but there's always some equipment that you have to
Yeah.
add on to it. And so I've just estimated that we're going to have to borrow $1.9
Fire
million
extinguisher, yeah.
as a figure, and I've estimated 6 months, and so there's three estimates, how much we're gonna have to borrow, what the rate is, and what the time frame.
Now, let's get out to the last one. Come on, John, wake up.
What's the last one, John Boyko? I'm gonna go back to.
Okay, so do we have any questions from the A&T members over there? Any further questions from A&T?
No questions. Nobody's got any questions. Next.
Slight
municipal
question.
Property maintenance.
For the finance director to summarize the situation.
I don't worry, you.
Oh, wait, I think Joe has a question, let's let Joe
Can
answer.
the finance director summarize the situation on, the last item discussed? Just a brief succinct summary.
If what?
Yeah, could you summarize what the situation is
That's the debt service.
briefly, succinctly on, the
On
debt
the
service?
service?
Yeah, just summarize it.
I think. that-
I've listened to all the mechanics.
The summary is that our debt service is, one of the lowest in the state.
And any expenses, regarding it are warranted in
Yeah.
comparison to other towns.
Yeah, I think,
Comparison to what we project.
4.3%.
What we committed to get.
I think one of the other things that we, in the way that we borrow the money, we don't get into a lot of additional costs. When you borrow something, if we had to build a new city hall, new police station, a new school building, and then you're going on debt service, which could be, most towns are at the 20-year level. And they have significant costs for attorneys, There's significant costs for,
Engineering.
the rating agencies. You have significant costs, for the consultant. We have a consultant that we pay $1,100 a year for, who represents about 60 towns in the state, and we're the lowest paid.
So in comparison, we're okay.
I'm sorry?
In comparison, we're okay.
Yeah, in comparison, we're in good shape. I think, you know, obviously, you know, the needs of the community from equipment or from other are not gonna go away. But we're the lowest around by far, not even close. In towns that are smaller than us, Monroe, Newton.
If I can make a comment, I think I heard the mayor say that we're getting these loans for 5 years at a clip. So we're paying them off quicker than like a 20-year loan or a 40 or 30-year bond,
At a lower rate.
at a much lower
At a
rate.
lower rate.
We've been
That's,
very
that's what's.
blessed that, okay?
That's what's important.
Ironically, right now, well, right now, though, the rate curve, the longer term has a lower rate because they just, the assumption that it's gonna go down at some point in the next 20 years.
Right.
But we're only locked in, our loan that we took 2 years ago, which was the 5,055,000, was at a rate of 55 basis points, just over half of 1%.
Half of one is.
And we're locked into that, and so, we'll be making a third payment on that this December of, $1,011,000. And I wish we could kind of reverse it and take that $1,011,000 and pay it on the 4.3%.
Yeah, consolidated.
John Boyko, can you, get us out of this? The next
I'm
item?
hearing this, okay. So now, are we going to move on to the last item? Any further discussion in item 6? What would we want to do, the general budget discussion? Is there any other questions or discussion for item 6?
We're going back to building maintenance with the transfer.
I'd rather, you know, my opinion is that since we're gonna be meeting Thursday night, see if you can get Chris Patusek in
Yeah.
here that night.
That's fine.
You wanna table it, you wanna table it.
Table.
Huh?
We would have, okay, we'd have to table it since it's there. Is Thursday
Yeah.
night enough time to re-notify? Because you have to publish a notice again.
Yeah, you got 24 hours, yeah, you're okay.
You have a list of attendees for Thursday?
Yeah, she sent it. I think she emailed it out on the same one this was on.
Oh, is it in that
It
one?
was right below. Yeah,
There were two agendas, one for today, one for Thursday.
yeah, Thursday, there's another, yeah, right below this
missed-
one and
I
another,
missed-
yeah,
I
it's
missed-
right underneath it.
I missed it.
Yeah,
So did I.
I didn't print, I printed out, I didn't bring it, but it's, yeah, it's right below.
Okay.
So we can maybe add Chris back on that agenda.
So it came from when, from,
The same email we got the tonight's stuff. on.
Dated
It was right
April.
below.
We'll send out
Right
tomorrow.
down below.
Yeah,
okay,
you could-
Get the items.
okay.
Or the.
Oh, part of-
Okay, so
Yeah, thank you.
So are we going to put a motion out that we table it until Thursday's meeting? Do we have a motion coming to that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move that over to Thursday's meeting. I guess now there's nothing further, so do we get a motion out there to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.